So we are going to do our favourite things. We did this last year as well, I think. It's probably a pretty good way to round off the year because we're not going to do another episode on Christmas Day.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's right. We're going to be taking a little break and just enjoying relaxing for a while. I think we'll be back. When are we going to be back, Rob?
Somewhere, let me look at the calendar as I'm speaking. Oh, and now it wants an update, so that's not useful. We will be back on the 9th of January.
Yeah, okay, that's right. I see it now. All right.
Which happens to be my birthday. So,
nice.
But it's fine because we record the day before, so it's it's not a problem.
Good. Hopefully you'll go to Nando's again this year. I think you went last year, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
And yes, I will probably do that again.
Yes, because speaking of favorite things, Nando's is right up there for both of us.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think that warrants any discussion beyond going to Nando's if you've got an option.
Right.
I'll miss my favorite television program, Science Fiction Theater.
So we'll probably start just with movies and TV shows. We have mentioned and talked about these in previous episodes, so we don't want to go too far into those. Do you want to start with yours, John?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll just kind of combine both of them, I think. One of my favorite movies this year was Deadpool, and we did do a show and talked about it in a little more depth, but I enjoyed it a lot just because it was so self-referential and tongue-in-cheek. It had great action and interesting movie. It sticks out in my mind as one of the better ones that I've seen this year. I can't say that I've seen a ton of movies this year, but Deadpool was definitely one of my favorites. And then for television, I was a huge fan and still am of Stranger Things. That was a great series, and it's on Netflix. It's still available, so that's one worth watching. It's got a really cool 80s retro vibe to it. It's kind of a supernatural monster sort of thing. People probably already know about it, but if you haven't watched it, you should. And then the third one that I've been enjoying recently, and I actually haven't finished, even though I think the season now is complete, is Westworld. I've been a little busy, so I haven't finished it yet, and I've been trying to avoid spoilers, so no spoilers from you, Rob, if you've been watching it, but I don't think you have, but it's definitely watching.
I was about to say the same thing to you, no spoilers, because I haven't started it yet. I didn't realise it was going to be a shorter series, season, but I was kind of waiting until there was a significant amount of episodes to start watching, but given that it's now finished, I'll probably be watching it in the next week or two, so yeah, no spoilers for that. I think for our lists in general, like we both kind of have liked the same thing. Like Deadpool is up there for me as well. I didn't put it on my list because you had another movie we spoke about was Popstar, which was the Lonely Island movie, which was another one that we did kind of a little segment on. One that I was kind of surprised that I enjoyed as much as I did was the new Ghostbusters. It has got its problems. It's kind of weird to watch sometimes, but in general, it's kind of just fun. Like, it's not a great movie, but I kind of enjoyed it. I think I've watched it 2 or 3 times since it came out. So yeah, and it's been controversial and for various different reasons, but to be honest, it's just kind of fun. And I if you haven't watched it and you just want something that's easy to watch, this is probably as good a choice as any.
Yeah, that's one that I haven't seen. I haven't seen that or your TV pick, so I've got to get on that and check it out.
Yeah, so my TV pick is Luke Cage, which is another one of the Netflix original series as part of the Marvel Cinematic TV universe. I can't quite work out where it sits in the timeline. I can't work out if it's during Jessica Jones, before or after. It's kind of weird. But yeah, this is just a really fun show to watch again. Of course, it's Netflix. It's only like 10 episodes or something like that. But yeah, like the writing for a lot of these Marvel shows, Daredevil and Jessica Jones, is really solid. And Luke Cage is as good as either of those.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool. I have to watch that because I enjoyed Jessica Jones and Daredevil, and I just haven't gotten around to checking out Luke Cage. But he made some. He was in the Jessica Jones series, so, and I thought it was an interesting character there. So definitely worth watching that show, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm imagining in a week or so, I'm going to have another favourite show of the year because season 2 of Man in the High Castle comes out, I believe, next week.
That's on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. I think last year I had already watched it before we did this show, like this particular favourites episode, and that was on my list. I'm hoping the second season will be just as good. But yeah, I think that comes out maybe on the 16th.
Yeah, I didn't know that was coming out yet. That was a great series. I enjoyed that a lot. I mean, it's set in an alternative future after I guess the Germans win World War II. Is that the premise? I forget.
Yeah, that's generally the premise. You've got World War II, and basically the two powers are now Japan and Germany.
Right.
And they kind of have basically just taken half of America each for the most part, and then there's kind of this no man's land in the middle.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was a great series. Maybe I should spend a little time later today, and watch some of the first season just to kind of get caught up on the story.
Yeah, that's definitely what we're planning on watching season 1 again. Probably this week, as you say, maybe this afternoon or something. Just because I feel like, unlike other TV shows where they're week to week and you get to the end and then it's only a few months until the new series, like this was a year ago we watched it, so it's kind of hard sometimes to remember what's happened. But like in general, I'm kind of enjoying more the shorter seasons of these shows, like Netflix and Amazon Prime, and it's kind of interesting that Westworld is a shorter series as well. I think for a lot of shows, it stops them from dragging it out over the 22 or 24 episodes that a season normally is.
Right.
And it's kind of nice. You don't kind of feel exhausted or drained from watching too much of it.
Right. There's less filler involved, and without the commercials and that sort of thing, I think it just makes the storytelling better. But you're right. The one thing that I find a little hard sometimes is, as you said, where you watch it all at once or over a short period of time, and then nothing comes out again for another 9-10 months.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Netflix are experimenting with this a bit to do kind of 2 seasons a year for shows. There's an Ashton Kutcher kind of sitcom that's on Netflix. I think it's called The Ranch. Yeah. And they released the first 8 episodes kind of beginning of the year, like January, February time. And then another 8 episodes came out maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. So you kind of get a little bit more throughout the year and you're not waiting quite as long. So, that's another interesting way Netflix can go to kind of, give people a bit more content throughout the year.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, I don't like waiting for 9-10 months for things if I enjoy them. So even if it's going to be fewer episodes in a couple of chunks, I think I would like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Stranger Things was a really good example of something that worked really well over a short amount of episodes. I think it had, 8 episodes for that?
Right.
And, there was no, as you say, no filler. It was kind of just, the story just continued as you would want it to. Right. There wasn't anything kind of weird going on. But yeah, so it'd be interesting to see what shows like Netflix and Amazon Prime come up with. And, I know other networks are doing kind of their own shows that are slightly shorter, like Westworld and things like that. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, what should we move on to, Rob? What category do you want to do? We're going to do games, and we're also going to do some, I guess you'd call them hardware purchases more than anything else.
Yeah, let's go for games.
All right.
We've done movies, TV shows. Let's do some games. I'll start with one of mine because I've got a few more on here than you have. Rocket League for me was, I mean, this didn't come out this year. I think it's probably been out about a year and a half, maybe. But I didn't buy it until I got a PS4 because a lot of the people that I know were playing it on PS4, so I didn't really want to buy it on Xbox. But I got this, and I must have put in like hundreds of hours in kind of the first month or two of getting it, because it's just so addictive. It seems like a terrible premise. Oh, it's football, but you're in a car. But somehow it just works really well.
Yeah, it does. We have it too, and I've played it. I haven't played it in a while, but it's a lot of fun. As you progress along, you can kind of soup up your car and decorate your car with various things, and you can play. You can practice. It's all online, right? Is there's no like single player mode? Is there? I don't think so. Maybe just the practice part, right?
Yeah, it's got the training stuff, and I don't know. To be honest, I've always played online, but there is. I think you can do like a tournament style kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it has a Batmobile that you can drive.
Right.
That's DLC. I think it's like a couple of dollars or something. And there's a DeLorean, which obviously I bought immediately as soon as I got the game. It's actually not the best. It's not my favorite car in the game, but it's kind of fun to just play as a DeLorean. And when you do the boost, you get the noise of like the time circuits that you get in the movie.
Oh, cool.
So you kind of get to listen to that when you're driving it, which is quite nice.
What did you think of the controls? Because when I first played it, I thought the controls were odd compared to most driving games. I got used to it, but I had a hard time getting used to it, at least initially.
Yeah, I don't play a lot of driving games, so I wasn't kind of really... I didn't really know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that is one of the problems with the game, is that I think to really enjoy it, because if you're really terrible at it, you're not going to want to play it for too long.
Right.
So you definitely need to invest a few hours in it, kind of just to get the hang of everything. And even with the amount of hours I've put in, I'm still terrible compared to a lot of people.
Right.
But the matchmaking online is pretty good, because I think they reset that every year.
Oh, okay.
So they reset like ranks and stuff, so they can, match people up again and stuff like that. So I haven't really had too many problems where I'm playing online and I'm matched up against like people who are like the world champions or anything like that. It's generally pretty good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah, so what have you got on your list, John?
Well, I will actually give you two, but I'll start with Mini Metro, which is, I've spent a lot of time this year playing iOS games for the Mac Stories column I do on Saturdays that features an iOS game. And Mini Metro is one of my absolute favorites. It's a simulator game, and you have to build a transportation system for various countries. I mean, they have famous systems. There's London and Tokyo and New York and all sorts of places. And the whole point of it is you have limited resources. You have to build out your tracks and stations and switches and trains and deploy them to keep all the people happy and make sure that no station gets too congested. And a couple of things about it that I really like. One is it's just kind of a mellow, laid-back, easy game. It's not like a stressful game or anything. And it looks beautiful. It's really well done. The design is fantastic, very colorful. When you're done building your transportation system, it really looks almost like a work of art more than anything else. And it's very addictive. It's one of those games you sit down and play, and eventually you lose when you're not getting people out of the stations quick enough, and then you can start over. But I always felt that I needed to start up another system to see if I get just a little further and do a little better at getting the people to their destinations on time. So it was a great game, and it's done really well on iOS. It was one of the picks for the top 10 games of the year by iTunes this past week, and I definitely recommend it to everybody.
Yeah, it was also featured on the Play Store a couple of different times. First, I think, was the week where you wrote your column about it. I think it was featured then. And then I think it was maybe last week or the week before I went on, and I think it had maybe won some kind of award or, editor's choice or something like that, the kind of editorial stuff that, the Play Store has, just like iTunes.
Right.
But yeah, because I downloaded it when you said to me about it, because I didn't download it initially. when you wrote about it, but you said, "Oh, try this out and we'll talk about it." And I downloaded it. I think I lost about 2 hours just kind of sat there playing it. The same reason as you, I'd kind of finish one and I go, "I bet I can do a little bit better this time."
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a fun game. What else do you have for us, Rob?
Yeah, so Uncharted 4, which was the reason I bought a PS4. I was kind of planning on getting one, probably not as early as I did. And then Uncharted 4 came out, and they had this like nice Uncharted 4 decorated console, and I was like, yeah, I really want that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I ordered it, and I started playing pretty much immediately, and I was just kind of playing every night until I'd finished this game. And it's just such a beautiful game.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's I suppose you could say it's similar to a Tomb Raider style game because you're going on adventures and working your way through various levels. I have not played it a lot, but it is probably one of the best looking PS4 games I've seen. And I know that they just recently announced a whole new, really almost a whole new game within the game, which is going to be available as DLC, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's it is DLC in that it's Uncharted and it's it's part of the universe, but it is a completely standalone game. So you don't have to own Uncharted 4 to play it. They're releasing it as a digital download, which you get if you've got the season pass for Uncharted 4. But they're also releasing a physical copy of it, which is kind of nice.
Oh, that is nice. I didn't realize that you could actually buy it separately. I thought you had to have the main game for it to work.
No, it was kind of confusing in their announcement trailer and stuff. But yeah, it is going to be available as a completely separate game. And physical copy is nice because I tend to prefer buying physical games.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand that. They're in some respects they're more convenient. They're both more convenient and less convenient because they're less convenient because you got to deal with putting the games in and out of the system. But you also don't have to worry about, I don't know, paying to keep your content available on some sort of store and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's a lot of it is the price as well. It's not too bad if you're buying a game as soon as it comes out, but within kind of 2 or 3 weeks of a game coming out, it will have been reduced on Amazon and other game stores like GameStop and places like that. But on the digital version, it just stays that price forever.
Yeah.
Uncharted 4 is still £45 or something to download on the PlayStation Store, but I can pick up a copy on Amazon for £30.
Yeah, none of that makes sense to me. I mean, I get that it's being sold by somebody else who's discounting it, but you're right, the fact that the digital copy stays $50, $60 US is ridiculous to me. I mean, sometimes as long as a year afterwards when you can find it on Amazon for $30 or $40.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. And talking of kind of separate DLC games, I just started playing Far Cry Blood Dragon, which was a DLC. It was still a standalone game, but it was actually called Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Nothing to do with the Far Cry series or universe. It's obviously just using kind of the mechanics from the game. But this is like an 80s parody kind of, just a short kind of game. I think it's like 4-6 hours or something. And you play like a cyborg cop kind of guy, and kind of feels a lot like Kung Fury, the way they were kind of parodying all these different like 80s genres and stuff.
Right.
And it's got dragons, and all the people you fight are cyborgs, and you take out their cyber hearts to throw at the dragons. It's kind of, and all the cutscenes are like the kind of like the Sega Genesis, like 16-bit style kind of animations. And yeah, it's just like a ridiculously stupid fun game. I only started playing it yesterday. I've probably played 3 or 4 hours of it. But it's made my list for favorite games of the year.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had not heard of that one, so I'll have to check it out. It looks like it might be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I don't know if it's available on PS4 because I know it was originally a 360 and PS3 download. But it's on backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. But it might be worth having a look. They may have it on there.
Yeah, we still have a 360 too, so I could download it for that.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, like I say, it kind of feels very much like Kung Fury. It really kind of just nails the soundtrack, and the things that it's parodying are kind of really good. And who doesn't want to fight dragons?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially if it's 80s dragons. 80s dragons are the best.
Yeah, they light up as well. They have neon lights inside the dragons.
Well, you sold me. I'm gonna go check it out this afternoon.
There you go.
I'm gonna add one to our list, which I didn't put in here. So this is a surprise pick, because this is a game that I just reviewed yesterday called Le Parker Sous Chef Extraordinaire, and this is a retro platformer game. And I think people are kind of tired of these in a lot of respects because there's so many games that imitate Super Mario Brothers on the iOS store that it's really hard to find a good one. Sometimes they're just really shallow games without much personality or depth to them. But this is an extraordinary, as it says in the name, an extraordinarily good game. You are a chef who has a magical meringue that floats on air, and you've given your recipe to the princess, who gets captured by the king and his men, and you have to go rescue the princess, which is very much a Super Mario, classic sort of storyline for this kind of game. But it's just very well done. There's like 20 songs in the soundtrack. The artwork is really well done, and it's incredibly hard. You have to, instead of collecting coins, you collect macaroons. And I had a lot of fun. Yeah, right. I had a lot of fun playing it. It's one of my favorite iOS games of the year. Unfortunately for you, Rob, this one is not on Android, at least not at this point.
Oh, forget it then.
But if you see it, you should pick it up because it's very good.
I have found myself becoming one of those people where I see something that's not on Android. I'm like, why is it only out on the iPhone? And then I kind of have to stop and don't be that person.
Yeah. It's interesting with games. It's more often than not they are on both platforms, because it's one of those things where you don't need, games don't have, they're not using the standard UI for Android or iOS for that matter, right?
No, definitely not. Yeah, I certainly see, I always have a look at your kind of game day column, and more often than not, those games are available on Android.
Right, because if they've gotten to that level of popularity where people are writing about them, usually they've taken the time to port it over to both platforms.
Actually, talking of iOS games or popular games, I went bowling with work on Friday for our Christmas party before we went for some food. And in the bowling alley, they had 2 arcade machines that I found very interesting. One was Flappy Bird. Although it wasn't called Flappy Bird, it was called something else.
Huh.
And right next to that was a Crossy Road arcade machine.
Interesting.
I didn't expect to see those in an arcade.
No, I went to an arcade place. Oh God, it's probably last winter now, and they had a Fruit Ninja machine where it was a giant television screen, and you had to swipe with your hands, both hands at the same time. And it was kind of fun. It was definitely a cool game. You worked up a sweat doing it though, because you're standing there in front of like a 40-inch television, swiping back and forth, and where everyone's dirty hands have been. But it was fun.
Definitely. Yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting that these games have kind of become arcade machines now, which is very strange.
Yeah, it is weird to think, because they start on your phone, and now you can play them at a bowling alley.
Yeah. Very well. I did not play them though.
Okay. You have to go again and report back at some point.
Oh, don't make me go there again.
All right.
I don't want to go all the way down there.
Sounds like a great party.
No. The party was good. I don't want to go to the bowling alley again just to try Flappy Bird.
All right.
So on to our just kind of random whatever other things we've bought. The first one. We can both agree on. I've bought an Echo, and you've bought a Dot. I've spoken about the Echo before. I haven't really added any smart home stuff to it, so I'm still pretty much using it for Spotify and a Bluetooth speaker and timers when I'm cooking. Not really doing a lot else. But you've got something here, a Coup Geek plug, is this?
Yeah.
Is that how I say it?
Yeah, I think that's how you say it. It's just a Wi-Fi enabled plug for your wall. And I looked. I don't think that they're available anywhere but in the U.S. unfortunately. But because they don't have like the UK plug or any other country's electrical outlet things. But it's very simple. It's like most HomeKit stuff. You pair it with HomeKit with a little code that's printed on the back of the plug, and then plug it in and plug a lamp into it or anything else that basically anything that can be on but not on because you've turned the power off to it works with this. So I plugged in a lamp. And I just like to, so far mostly what I've done is torment my family by being downtown Chicago or walking home from work and flicking the lights on and off as a signal that I'm on my way home. Mostly they don't notice, but it's kind of fun. I got to find a better use for it, but it's part of an experiment I've been running, which is trying to find useful ways to do a little bit more with home automation. That's why I got the Dot too. Although the Dot I had planned to use at my office downtown, but I learned after buying it, fortunately it was only $40, but it doesn't work with, I think it's the WPA2 Wi-Fi security that's enterprise grade. Unless you have access to the router and can put MAC address in and kind of whitelist it, which no one's going to do for me at work. So I can't use it there, and I have to use it at home, and I'm not home enough for it to really be super useful. Although I have used it to add items to Todoist. It ties in. Todoist will tie in with the built-in Amazon shopping list or list that the to-do list that is built into the software for the Echo and the Dot. And it's very fast. It works well. I use it, get weather reports and do some of the same stuff you do, like timers and playing music. But that's been about it.
Yeah, I noticed you've also got an Ecobee smart thermostat on this list. Is this something else you've bought, or is this kind of a separate device that you're not using with the Echo?
It doesn't.
The Dot. Yeah,
I do use that. I'm trying to think of it. Yeah, it works with the Echo, and I can say, for instance, set the temperature at 65, and it'll do it automatically because there's a skill in it for Ecobee. I bought that over the summer, I think, is when maybe in June or July I got the Ecobee, and we have two different heating cooling units in our house, one for upstairs and one for downstairs. So I have two of these. And then they have remote sensors that you can place around the house. And what it does then with these remote sensors, they both sense motion and temperature. So they can tell if somebody's in that part of the house. And then what it does is it kind of averages out the temperature between the rooms and tries to, set the heating or the cooling to a temperature that will be comfortable for everyone who's in a room and using the room.
Huh,
I know it sounds like I live in a mansion or something. I don't have a very big house, but it's helpful to have those like in bedrooms, for instance, because someone might not be in their bedroom for hours, and it doesn't need to be hot or cool. So
you've got sensors in all your thousands of rooms across your house.
I do. I had. It comes with two, and I had one. So the thermostats themselves are sensors. So and then it comes with two remote ones. And originally I had. There's a thermostat in one bedroom and this remote one in another bedroom. And then the third bedroom was very uncomfortable, so I had to get another sensor.
Sure.
So that's but it's worked out really well. And I can, because it's Wi-Fi enabled, I can, if we're on a vacation or something, I can turn the heat down or the cooling down and then, half an hour before I get home, just set it to something more reasonable and it's ready when I get home.
Huh, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I might have to have a look into those.
They are good. Last I heard, they are not available in the UK. Just so you know.
Oh, there we go. Never mind.
I'm sorry. I had the same reaction from Mike Hurley. He goes, "Oh, I should get these for my new house." And then, no, I think they're in Canada and the US right now. But the Nest is available in the UK, right? Maybe.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of expensive. I mean, I'm not sure I'm definitely going to do something like this yet.
Yeah. Well,
for the same reasons. For the same reasons that I'm not getting smart light bulbs. I just probably wouldn't use it that much because our thermostat right now, our old style manual one that you have to use with your hands, it's right by the living room door anyway. So I probably wouldn't use it all that much.
I have found that that's kind of the right approach to a lot of the smart home stuff. Is it's kind of cool, but do you really need it?
Yeah.
I felt the same way with the light bulbs too. I think it'd be fun to have some hue lights, but they're really expensive, and I'm not really sure that they would be much more convenient than just flicking a switch on the wall.
Yeah, definitely not. So the last thing I bought, or not the last, I've bought a lot of things, but the last thing that's on my list at least is the Jaybird X2 Bluetooth headphones, which was something that you'd said to me. But you've probably been telling me about Bluetooth headphones for like the last year or something.
Right.
And I finally got some because when I switched to the OnePlus 3, I completely forgot that the inline remotes in headphones, like proper headphones with the jack and everything, those are only standard to iOS. They don't always work on Android. And I was kind of looking around for one with play, pause, and volume. And it just looks like, to be honest, that volume's just not very well supported on Android for wired headphones. But Bluetooth is different because Bluetooth has its own independent volume.
Right.
So yeah, I bought these, and to be honest, they're fantastic. Like I charge them once a week, if that. They always work properly. I can control playback and volume and stuff like that. They're really great.
Oh, that's good. I had the previous generation of those headphones, which were pretty good too. But I've heard a lot of good things about the X2s, which I think came out sometime early this year, or maybe it was the end of last year. Great headphones. I'm of course sitting around waiting for the AirPods to show up, and not sure that I feel like a little bit of a sucker at this point.
Yeah, and what happened to the Beats X? Are they just holding those back until the EarPods are out, or the AirPods?
Well, maybe it's the same problem. I mean, at least the rumors are that they're having a hard time making these things at scale, which I can see, perhaps, because they're so, all the miniaturized parts, and that would make sense. If that's the case, that would make sense why the similar Beats smaller headphones weren't around yet either. The only ones you can get now are the Solo 3s that have the W1 chip in them. And for everyone I've talked to who has the Solo 3s really likes them, and I was very tempted to get some, but I really don't want to spend $300 on a big set of headphones. I've already got good, big headphones that I use at home, and I really am at the point where I really do need a new set of Bluetooth headphones, because the ones I have are just they're just wearing out. I've had them for a long time. The battery doesn't last as long as it used to, which is the downside of Bluetooth, I guess. But I'm going to hold out, I think, and try to get the AirPods eventually.
I'm sure they'll ship. I'm not convinced they're going to ship this month now. It's getting pretty close to Christmas, but maybe we'll see something in January for those.
Yeah, no, there's continual rumors that they're going to ship. But I think at this point, you're right. I don't think they'll ship now until probably sometime in the new year, maybe in January.
Yeah. So you've got one more thing on your list.
I do, and it's my iPhone 7 Plus. Maybe that's not a super inspired pick, but my phone's probably my most important gadget to me day to day, and I've just been really happy with the 7 Plus. I had a 6S Plus, and the 7, the battery is just unbelievable on this phone. It lasts forever, and I think part of it is this system they have now where when you're not using your phone, it goes into kind of a low power mode. Uses a slower chip. And the battery just seems to last forever on it, and I like portrait mode. I think it's I know people like to complain about the fuzzy edges here and there, but by and large it works well for me.
Because nobody told you it's fake, John. The blurriness is fake.
I know. I should be a DSLR purist, but it gets the job done because it's with me all the time, and I've enjoyed having it, and it's lightning fast. It works well. It doesn't die on me, and I don't know. That's all I have to say about it, I guess. I got the matte black one, by the way.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, as you say, like it's the same phone you had last time with some improvements. As you say, the battery's better, and you've got portrait mode, a nicer camera. And as you say, it's your primary device. It's completely understandable that this would, be in your top your top list of stuff for this year. So
yeah, it's got the wide color and all that jazz, which I like. I at this point I'm so used to it that I don't really notice it. But I think if I went back to another device, I might. But the screen's fantastic, and I think I've got roughly 400 apps on it at the moment.
Wow, that's a lot.
That's what I do.
It is what you do, and I probably have about 20 apps on my phone.
Yeah, it's 256 gigabytes, so there's plenty of room on there for doing all fiddling around with stuff. So,
sure, cool. Well, I think that probably just about wraps it up for this episode and for this year.
Yeah, it's been a good year. This is, I guess, our first solid full calendar year, which is a big moment, I suppose. And we're going to see everybody shortly into the new year.
Definitely. So hope everyone has the nice holiday period, Christmas Day or whatever else it is you're doing. Enjoy it, and we'll be back in the new year.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon, Rob.
See you later, John. Bye.